And God saw that it was good. Hi everyone, welcome to Language of Life for Little Learners. This is your favorite Bible nerd, R.A. Sweeney, here to talk about one of my absolute favorite Hebrew words. I say that a lot because there's so many great words here at the beginning of Genesis. But this one, it's pretty high up on the list. I love the word for good that we see in all over the Bible. But we see it especially pretty densely packed here in the first chapter of Genesis. So the Hebrew word for good is tov. And I'm really hitting the V sound at the end there just to kind of make it easier to hear because it's kind of hard to differentiate. In Hebrew, V as in Victor and B as in boy they're the same letter just with a dot difference. And so really it's the same, you kind of mix the words. So like when I learned Spanish, we did the same thing. So like I think of like cow in Spanish is vaca. And is it vaca or vaca? And it's like, well, it's kind of in between. The same thing here, that V at the end of tov is kind of in between a V and a B because like I said, it's the same letter. You just have this one dot that you kind of like double the sound a little bit or put a little bit more intensity or oomph into it. So B is actually just like a really intense V in Hebrew, sort of. And so it's kind of like in the middle of that B and V sound. But the Hebrew word is tov. So if you guys want to say it with me, tov means good. We'll say it one more time. Tov means good. And good can mean an awful lot of things in English. Especially when we start getting into religious sort of context, we tend to think of good, and the opposite would be like bad or evil or something like that. And we put some like moral sort of ideas onto them. Like if something is good, it's not just like, oh, well, that tastes good. Like it's morally good. And if something is bad, it's morally bad. And that's not the case with this word. Like good really can be moral or without any idea of morality mixed into it. It's not trying to specifically say this is morally good. It's just saying that it is good in a specific way. And so to really understand how the Bible understands this idea, or at least how God uses the word tov or good, I feel like looking at the whole picture of Genesis is really helpful because, like I said, we see it an awful lot here. And so we've kind of looked at this a little bit with Tohu Vavohu earlier in the series, where it was, that uninhabitable and uninhabited, and throughout the chapter, God is trying to address the uninhabitable nature of creation, and then he's trying to populate the uninhabited space. Really, that whole idea is what we want to bring to the table here. So we start out with the world was not able to be inhabited, and so it wasn't inhabited, at least not with abundant life. And we've got, Tehom, like we talked about, that dark abyss where the chaos dragons live and spew out, evil and darkness and bad things across the world. And it's, these chaotic waters and stuff like that. And then we see in the first 3 days of creation, God is separating things in order to make spaces for life. Because like I read from Ovid's poetry, everything's kind of just like smooshed together, and there's not space for things to live because everything's mooshed together. And then we see God, he separates light from darkness and makes time, day and night, and things like that. And then he's making the space above, so like the heavens, and he makes the waters below, and then he brings the dry land out. And so he's making these different zones for things to live in. And then he starts filling them with, there's plants for everything to eat, and then there's animals and everything. And he's calling all the different steps along the way good. And so by the end, it usually says very good, but in Hebrew, you actually will double a word to like really emphasize it. So here it's tov tov. It's good. It's perfectly good. It is as like the epitome of good. It is everything that the word good means. And so we see that at the very end, like along the way, like, yeah, we're getting elements of goodness, but it's by the end that we see, like, this is exactly what it means to be Tov. And by that point, we've got the different spaces for life to abound in and then abundant life. And so if I were to look at that whole 6 days of God creating and ask the question, like, what is he making? What is he doing? What is his work accomplishing? It's making a space for abundant life and filling that space with abundant life. And there's so much abundance language in there that I always add the word abundant. And we see in verse 2 that that's the opposite of what we have. We've got, just awful life can't thrive here, and so it doesn't. And then slowly God's getting us to where life can abound here, and so life is abounding here. And he says that is what it means to be Tov. That is Tov. And so really when we come to this word good, it's a specific type of good. It is a good that works toward the purposes of life and abundance. And we see like at the tree of knowing good and bad, like they decided what would be good based on their own ideas, but God's like, that's not what's good though. Like what's good is what's going to make life in abundance. And I will tell you what makes life in abundance. And when we see God or the prophets talking about things as good, it's the things that will produce life in abundance, as opposed to things that are going to fight against life in abundance. And so you can read that all throughout the Bible. Anywhere it says that something is good or that something looks good, it's something that is building that abundant life environment or filling that environment with the abundant life, or something that looks like it would. So we see a lot of people who that looks good and, I think that will bring me abundant life, but turns out they're wrong. And a lot of different ideas go into that. But for now, really want to just focus and leave us with that idea of Tov is an idea of things that will produce abundant life, because that's what God was structuring and putting in order in chapter 1 of Genesis. And that's what he calls perfectly good, or like the whole package of what good means is what he created in that first 6 days worth of creation and then settles into on day 7. So that's the Hebrew word tov, which we translate as good. If you guys are enjoying these, subscribe, share them with friends who might also enjoy learning these. If there's different Hebrew or Greek ideas that you want to jump into, let me know so that we can explore those in future videos. But for now, thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time.